All right. Hello, everyone. We have Miss Katie Boyette with us. Did I say it right, Katie Boyette?
Yes.
All right, perfect. And she's in Fort Belvoir. I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time. I think I started about a minute early, so we're going to give everybody a couple minutes just to clock in. Um, some of you I know have been on these calls before. These are just informative, where we bring in some of our trainers. They can give you their experience, what they've seen, what their preferences are when it comes to training and what's possible. We'll periodically stop to allow you guys to ask some questions. We just remind you to, make them more general type questions about training and not so much about your individual dog. It's going to be really hard for Katie to give you, other than just some basic good advice. Um, she can't really address specific issues that you may or may not be having with your dog. But it's great. How was everybody's Thanksgiving? As we kind of give everybody time.
Good.
Yeah. Well, mine was really good. Charles, how was yours?
Good, but short.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I mean, the way I eat on Thanksgiving, it couldn't last any longer, or else I'd be 7,000 pounds.
Right.
But it's my favorite holiday. And that always surprises people because I actually got blown up on Thanksgiving.
Mm.
But it's still my favorite holiday. Um, And you guys all know my sense of humor when it comes to that. Like, it doesn't really slow me down too much. But yeah, Brenda, how was yours?
Great. I had two Thanksgiving dinners and I didn't have to cook for either one of them.
All right on.
Nice.
That's good. Yeah, it took me like 2 days to clean up. We had we just had the immediate family. But I did turkey and ham and all the things. And we just, luckily living in Wisconsin, it's cold. So you kind of put everything in the garage. It's like having a walk-in cooler. And then we just kind of ate for 2 days and then kind of cleaned as we finished everything up. It worked out pretty good. All right. We got David in. And yeah, all right. So we're going to get started. And I know if other people join in, they can join up. This is being recorded, so people can go back and
Sorry.
see what they miss. But I'm really excited to introduce Katie Boyette. She's trained a few of our veterans in the Sierra Delta community and their dogs. She'll tell you how long she's been training and all that. But one of the coolest things I think about her is that she's the one that trains the Marine Corps mascot. And I can't wait to hear it. So without further ado, Katie, please introduce us to your world and what you think about dog training.
Well, hi everyone. Thanks for coming on. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to speak with everyone about dog training. It's absolutely my passion in life, specifically training for service members and veterans. As my ex-spouse was a service member, and that's what really got me into training service and therapy dogs. So training Chesty, yes. So I had the opportunity to put in a bid to train the Marine mascot at 8th and I, Marine Barracks, Washington. And they had just gotten this one. He's Chesty the 16th. He was a little roly-poly bulldog puppy. And we had him for board and train for 2 weeks. Here, I managed the pet center on Fort Belvoir. So in addition to training dogs here, I also manage all of our operations. But yeah, we had him here for board and train, and then we hop up to Marine Barracks, Washington every few weeks and do continued lessons with him, just to maintain all of his skills, since he has the challenge of new caretakers, new handlers all the time. So we have to really help him build those relationships with the people that are handling him. I always tell people I'm like the constant in his life. So he's always happy to see me, because I've been there since he was a puppy. Nobody else has been. He's had new
Wow.
caretakers. He's had new handlers. He gets new handlers about every 2 years. So it's just been, pleasure to work with him. There will be a segment. They had told me on the National Dog Show, but I did not see that on Thanksgiving Day. Now they're telling me the Westminster Dog Show in February is when it's airing. So they're doing a segment on Chesty. You'll see me on there talking about working with Chesty in depth some.
Heck yeah. That's really cool. Really cool.
Mhm.
So how many dogs do you train a year?
More than I can even count.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So I've trained thousands of dogs in my career.
Oh,
I've
wow.
been training since professionally since 2007, but I've been handling dogs since I was in middle school. So I would train and show our dogs in 4-H and AKC handling. So I've done agility, obedience, conformation, rally, all of those things in the show ring and just training dogs in those. I've also dabbled in some protection work and scent work, things like that.
Really cool. Awesome. What's your favorite to work with? You know, whether it's a breed of dog or the type of training, whatever you want to say, or if you're like, I just love it all.
I really like doing therapy dog training, actually.
Okay.
That's like my favorite, and like brand new puppy training because they're a clean
Okay.
slate. You're not trying to fix things that have gone wrong in the past. You're just putting down good manners, good behaviors, good habitual behaviors. So if you can build that from the ground up as a puppy, as opposed to trying to fix things and solve problems, I feel like that's a lot easier than trying to correct things later.
Great. Well, so on that note, then, for people that end up getting a puppy, what should they do to have the best opportunity for success with their dog when they get a puppy?
Lots and lots of socialization. Expose them to as much as you can. We have I talk to a lot of people about this because they have dogs that are 4 and 5 years old now that they got during the pandemic that
Hmm.
really never had the opportunity to be well socialized with other dogs and with lots of people, just because that wasn't the climate we were living in at the time.
Yeah.
So I call them pandemic puppies.
Yeah.
They just haven't built the social skills that they need. They don't really know how to interact with other dogs very well. So we kind of have to teach them even how to play with other dogs, which is it's an interesting process to watch. So and just working with those dogs, helping them get social skills. But that's the most important thing, that so that they are not overly excited or scared to see new things, meet new people, meet other dogs. That's really the most important thing when you get a puppy. And just enrolling them in a basic obedience class with other dogs that are young or puppies, goes a long way to building those skills.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, one of the things that we're working on is developing community team leaders. And Charles is one of the ones in the inaugural class. And one of the things we're trying to do is get more meetups as we get more and more veterans in here, having them to be able to meet up and bring their dogs. But if you can, give them the basics on like if your dog is having trouble with other dogs, like what's like a basic overview of like how to introduce it to the dogs in a way that's not stressful to the dogs or is not going to, open you up for liability with a big melee of dogs.
Yeah, so it does depend on the dog and what type of behavior you're
Yeah,
seeing. Like if they're already reactive to other dogs, that's a different scenario than like teaching a puppy good leash manners.
got it.
Really, you want to teach the dog to be able to say hi in a controlled manner and then walk away willingly when you ask. Working with an older dog that's not as excited to say hi will sometimes help with that because they're not going to get a puppy overly excited to say hi.
Sure.
So working with an older dog that's kind of like, oh hi, yeah, pup, and then just walks away from them helps a lot in kind of toning down the puppy's behavior. They're like, oh, they're not as excited to see me. Maybe this isn't as exciting as I think it is.
Okay.
So just giving them exposure, introducing them to older dogs that already have good manners, so that you're not, having them escalate each other. If you didn't introduce a puppy to another puppy on leash, they're going to start playing and then they get tangled. And then, that's how they learn to behave on leash. If you teach your dog that leash time is not necessarily playtime, then you'll still maintain those good leash skills.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And I mean, you hear it a lot. All the trainers talk about socialization. And then it's like, well, what does that mean? And um, even some of the trainers that I've seen work with our veterans, like even taking them to stores, but they'll just go in and then turn
Mhm.
around and walk out. And like,
Yep.
those are some of the things that we try to remind the veterans is you can't do it all in one big chunk.
Mhm.
You've got to do it in very small, bite-sized pieces. And I think, I mean, I see a lot of stuff on Instagram from a bunch of different trainers, and obviously there's good and bad. You guys have a good Facebook, I know. Do you guys do Instagram as well, I'm sure?
We are not on Instagram, so since we're
Yeah.
a government facility, we have a list of like certain
Okay.
applications we're not allowed to use.
Yeah.
So we are allowed to use Facebook, so that's what we stick to primarily. So we're not allowed to have like TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. So Facebook's really it for us.
Okay. And so the Facebook, it would be Patriot Pet Care, right? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
And then I do have my own YouTube channel. I'll probably share this on there if you don't mind that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's Katie Trains Dogs. Um, and I just post, some fun, interesting content. I've got some stuff of dogs lure coursing and doing some agility stuff. And yeah, we
That's
have fun.
That's great. Yeah, if you can either email it to me, I'll put it in the community as well to make sure that people have access to it. That's what we're really trying to do is find a responsible way to utilize our trainers and your intellectual knowledge in a way that we can share it without like, blowing up your business. But it's really what we really try to focus on in Sierra Delta is helping the veteran really understand what they want and need with their dog so
Mhm.
that when they do meet with the trainer, they have a better. This is why we put so much onus on them writing their story, then their goals, and then we really make sure that they're not just sending us a screenshot of your fees, that they're actually meeting with the trainer to help develop that plan. So can you talk a little bit about like when you meet somebody for the first time, them and their dog, like what is something that is helpful for you if they have already done, some research, some homework, or some writing? What are some of the things that would help you if they kind of came prepared to meet with you for that hour to discuss the possibilities and give you an opportunity to assess their dog to see what's possible?
So I like to know things like, what does your dog already know? What type of training have you already done with your dog? Have you done a group obedience class? Have you done private lessons? Have you done any advanced training? Does your dog have a CGC title or anything of that nature? What their training goals are, because
Yeah.
knowing the end game is really important. So if they want a service dog or a therapy dog, or if they just want, a really well behaved household pet, like what are your goals? Where do you ultimately want your dog to be? Do you want to be able to take them everywhere with you? Do you want to just have them behave at home? Do you just want to be able to walk around the neighborhood? Those types of questions. So your ultimate goal with your dog, um, kind of the techniques that you've used in the past, and how well you have stuck to that training. So if you've done past obedience classes, have you maintained those behaviors? Does your dog sit every time you ask them the first time you ask them?
Right.
Or is this you going around going sit, 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 sit? And then your dog finally does it on the 10th time. Just knowing things like that, I'll usually ask them to do a few things with their dogs just so that I can see their dynamic, to see if we need to work on that relationship. I do reward-based training, as long as that's appropriate for the dog,
Mhm.
whether that's a ball or a toy or a treat. But I am a balanced trainer, so I'm not a positive only trainer. I do use negative markers. I will use corrective tools if they're needed. I
Right.
start with all positive reinforcement, just with negative markers. And then if we need a corrective tool, we add that later. And that kind of is how our training plan develops. We start with the positive reinforcement. If that is working really well, we continue with that. If that's maybe not getting us where we need to go very quickly, then we might add it's called positive punishment, not because it's a good thing, but because we're adding that to the training plan. So we're adding a punishment such as pressure to the training plan. I don't mean like we're hitting the dog as
Right.
punishment. We are adding pressure, or adding a gentle leader, or adding a prong collar, or whatever works best for the dog.
Yeah, and that's so important to understand. And that's, Sierra Delta's stance too is that we're leaning on the trainer to use their professional experience, to help guide the veteran. We always, especially if they're going to use tools like an e-collar or a prong collar, you know, you can read all the reviews, you can watch all the videos. I don't think you utilize those tools unless you have a professional there to help you. And so, and again, we have some trainers that are positive only, and we have, you know, but most of our trainers, I think, are balanced. If I was to take a poll, which I haven't, it's just, and that's what I've seen to be the most successful is having that balanced approach. And I know from even my own personal experience, like sometimes I gotta touch that stove to make sure it's hot, you know. So but but yeah, it's so important. Again, this is why, you know, these trainer talks are important so that people hear it over and over from other trainers. Like nobody really has the answers for you and your dog except for you and your dog. The trainer is there to help guide you down the right path. And that's what Sierra Delta is here to do, is to try to give you as much information. We treat you all like adults. This is a thank you for your service, you know, and so we want you to work with this trainer to come up with the best possible plan. And service dogs, you know, what is one of the things that you see when somebody comes in wanting to have a service dog? What do you see as one of the challenges for them actually accomplishing that goal?
Um, a big challenge is wanting them. Oh, some people will want to take their pet that has been a pet for years,
Hmm.
and want it to become their service dog. Sometimes that's fine. Sometimes that works out great. Other times the dog's not really doesn't have really have the disposition to be a service dog. So we need to take that into account when we're trying to mold them into something that they're just not cut out to be. I have a great example of one of my training clients, her dog JJ. He was fully trained to be a medical alert dog, but he kind of flunked out of it at some point. He just didn't want to do it. So you know, they sent this dog off to training to be a medical alert dog, and he just stopped alerting. So, and I think some of it was them not maintaining his training as well.
Yeah.
So I think it was kind of a combined snowball effect. But we got him into a much better place where he's now just a happy household family pet. And he's really happier that way. He
Yeah.
didn't really want to work. And
Yeah.
you need to recognize that about your dogs. Some of them are cut out for work. Some of them want to do that. Others don't.
That's true. And what I've seen in my, you know, 10 years doing this is that the veterans are the same way. There's a lot of veterans that think they want a service dog, but they're not willing to put in the 10 to 20 hours of work it takes to maintain it.
Mhm.
And I've even seen a lot of my good friends across the country, they have these really expensive dogs that have been pre-trained and they have regressed because there was no need in the first place. And that's one of the things that we're really trying to bring to the forefront is that when we look at the actual numbers, it's 150,000 out of 16.7 million that actually need a medical assistant service dog. The rest of us can really just benefit from having a good dog. And what's more important is a good thing to do with your dog, whether it's an official hobby like Charles got into dock diving and Jen got into dock diving, or, you know, there's other people that are into like bird hunting or shed hunting or mushroom hunting or just running agility courses, or just like me, just hitting the trails with my dog. And I just want him to be on a good recall. You know, that I think is where we're seeing kind of the rubber hit the road with a lot of veterans is that a lot of them come in thinking they need a service dog because that's what the TV told them they needed or the VA told them they needed. And then once we get in here and they see what other veterans are doing, they're like, well, wait, that's an option too. And we're like, yeah, it's really what's going to help you and your dog live an epic life together,
Mhm.
you know? And you know, at the beginning, I was even trying to like, I thought because I wanted to help veterans with dogs that I needed to have a dog with me, but I don't even like having a dog with me all the time. Like I like to be alone with my dog in the woods or just walking, listening to a book or whatever. But and he was in a rescue and he was severely abused. So I knew that going into it. He doesn't like all the extra people, you know. So like understanding what he wants to do, I think you brought up a great point in that it's a two-way street. These are not robots, right? They're not our slaves, you know, and it's as much as they give us, we should be giving them as well.
Mhm.
And so I think it's so important that why we're really trying to change the way veterans can access this. That's why I just want like we have 68% of American households have a dog in it. majority of vets I know have a dog or want a dog. So let's just make it easier for them to have a well-trained dog in their life instead of setting these standards that most of us can't achieve just because we're not going to do the work. But having the access for them to actually achieve it on their own and with a dog that they have selected themselves, I think is still workable. And we see that happening here. Brenda has a great service dog, and she actually does stand-up comedy with him. So I mean, it's just
Yep.
amazing.
We love Teddy. Brenda's one of my clients.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You guys did work together. I'm sorry. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
we've been working together since Teddy was a baby.
Right.
And I even knew Truman too before Teddy.
Right on.
So yes, we love Ted. And I actually went with Brenda to the White House last year for her to
I
do
saw
some
that
stand-up
video.
comedy there. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was fantastic.
That's
We
really
had a
cool.
great day.
Well, that makes a good time for us to open up to some questions. And Brenda, why don't we just start with you? Why don't you tell everybody what it was like to work with Katie? This is one of the first times we've actually had, no, it's like the second time we've had a vet.
Well, I can never say enough about Katie. I
Right.
mean, because, you know, I trained with different trainers previous to her, especially with my other service dog coming from Missouri, and volunteering with organizations. Because, you know, it's like parenting. Everybody does it just a little bit differently. But what works with your personality and with your service animal or dog, you know, that whatever you're training for. But the thing that really clicked with me with Katie is I was trying to do the positive training because I was working with Paws for Purple Hearts.
Mhm.
And she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was telling her, and she's like, "No, that's for dogs that have been bred to be a service dog. Shelter dogs haven't always had good experiences with humans."
Mm.
And that
Good
just
point.
really got, like, you know, really got me there. But we use a yes, no system. You know,
Okay.
I go, if, you know, to correct him. And he knows, like, if he's going to go do something and he knows it's going to be, he'll look at me to see if I'm going to tell him. So I know the system works.
That brings up a great point. I feel like a lot of times we can solve training issues just with effective communication with our dogs. So often we're sending them mixed signals, like they're getting anxious and growling at another dog or barking or misbehaving on the leash, and we try to comfort them using words and a tone that, you know, we would use with a small child, like, "It's okay, baby, you're all right." Well, what are we saying to them when they're misbehaving and we're saying, "Oh, good dog, good dog." So we're praising them for their misbehavior there, when really we need to have like a calm confidence and be like, "No, I don't like that behavior," which is what the is. It's our negative marker. And then once they calm down, we can say, "Yes, we do like this behavior." And just correct it in that way with effective communication and not sending them mixed signals.
It's a great point. It's a great point.
And
Is
I
there-
also learned don't overpraise and clap your hands, because then when you go to a public event and everybody starts clapping, the dog's going to think it's for them.
Yeah, Teddy does think it's all for him.
Yeah. But I taught him by accident. So
That's great. Oh man, does anybody else have any questions for Katie? Go ahead, Rob. You're muted, just so you know.
No, I didn't have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, the other Rob. He's up there
Me.
too.
Oh.
All right.
Sorry.
Going back to the socialization of the puppy, what kind of places can you take the puppy into that's not going to, have somebody shoo you out the door?
So Lowe's and Home Depot are great places. They will let you walk around with your puppy as long as they're not being a nuisance or barking at everything. And like BJ commented, sometimes it's a matter of just like going there, walking them in the door, walking them back out. Give them that gradual exposure to places. Also, just taking them to places like public parks. Nobody's going to kick you out if you're going to a public park. That they can see lots of different people. They can see lots of other dogs. They see kids running around, so they won't get as excited or overwhelmed when they see those things out.
Okay.
Also, PetSmart is a good place, and Petco. Obviously, you can go in there.
Any
and buy some.
of the
Yeah.
pet stores will usually let you bring them in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And using the community to find other veterans that are in our community. A lot of people are getting together and working on socializing their dogs as well.
Yeah, pack walks are a great way to get socialization just with other people that have their dogs out. Take them all on a walk together.
Yeah, a lot of the trainers do it. I signed up for one for a local trainer here and it's a couple bucks. And yet, as you're walking, if you're having some issues, that trainer's there just to kind of help give some quick tips and tricks on how to do it
Okay.
and really kind of help you through it. And again, that's where, after I got my grant, when I got my dog in 2020, he's a pandemic dog as well. But
Pandemic puppies.
yeah, um, I did the initial training and then I was still having some issues with some reactivity. So I contracted another trainer, for a couple $100, just working a couple of sessions. She had an older dog that she could bring to really kind of help ease it. And it's just a matter like it's continuous is really what this is. This not like one and done. And again, this is why we try to make it like our grants only go up to 3,500, but some of you spend a little bit more money than that. And we all do. What I'm trying to build is that there's no quick fix for any of this. This is going to be a 10, 12, maybe even 15-year relationship. Not you shouldn't work the dog that whole line, but it's going to be in your life, And so understanding like you wouldn't want your employer working you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until you died. So kind of having that same mentality, and you're going to change as well. Many of the veterans that I've worked with for decades have come to realize that their next dog, they don't want a service dog. They just want a good dog, which is okay. And that's what we're trying to tell everybody is like, this is your timeline. Because at the end of the day, whether that dog is a service dog or just a really good dog, as long as you're providing the love and the welfare for it, everybody wins, So it doesn't have to be anything. And you as veterans, it's what I try to get across from Sierra, you've already done everything you need to do to get this help. You served our country. So you don't have to prove yourself disabled to keep doing it. But if that's what you need, then do it. Here's the ways to do it. We've got so many great trainers that it's been amazing to see, like even after the training grant's completed, everybody has these free come back to their group classes or come to the pack walks. But there's been so many veterans that when they reach out to me, I say, first reach out to your trainer. And every single time the trainer has helped them without charging them anything extra. So again, this is what this community is about, and dogs and humans have worked together for 35,000 years. This isn't brain surgery. This isn't like trying to figure out AI. Like this has been around for a while.
So I always tell people, once you're a client, you're always a client. If
That's
you run
right.
into a new issue, if you start having repeated issues, you give me a call and we'll try to help troubleshoot it, even just over the phone. I want to be able to help you through those issues as you encounter them. Also, just going back to, it's not something that you have to keep working at as hard as you do in the beginning for the training. Like you need that good foundational initial training to create good habits. And that's what I tell people like in our puppy classes is we want to create good habitual behavior to start with. Then we just have to maintain it in the future. If we create that habitual behavior, like we always walk with slack in the leash, never a tight leash, we make that a habit. Like I just went on vacation for a week and I came back. My dog still walks perfectly on a leash because he had a week off, but that's how he has always walked on a leash. So he just walks on a leash with laxity.
Okay. David, you have a question. I think you're muted. No. Can't hear you.
Do we have a chat box where you can type in a question?
I think you can. Right, David, talk now. Is that you or is that somebody else? No, it's not you. Okay. I am.
Me, I've got my monsters in the background making
Okay.
noises. So, but
I have cats at work. I had to lock them out, or they'd be like right here.
Right.
Be like, you're talking to me.
I just have to say it's impressive to be able to train an English bulldog because I've got one and he doesn't take the training well. He knows what he does and he knows what he does is wrong, and he'll look at me and take off running and doing it. But He's like a 2-year-old, more than my other dogs. So
They
Okay.
have a bit of a stubborn streak too. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the segment we just filmed on Chesty that's going to be aired at the dog show in February. But yes, English bulldogs are bulldogs in general, even American bulldogs too, and Old English. They're a bit stubborn sometimes.
I agree.
I'm getting a message that it says that I'm on a free account, which we shouldn't be, but I just downgraded 2 licenses because we didn't need them anymore. And I think Zoom messed this up. So this might cut out in like 5 minutes. I just want to give everybody a heads up. I don't know what, I mean, their customer service is a little bit janky, but if it
I think
cuts
we
out, that's
can
what
all
that's what
log
it's
back in and then you get another 45 minutes.
Okay, that's what we might have to do. If not, like if everybody's like, "Hey, we're good," we can end it. But I am sorry. This is embarrassing. Like it's gonna get cut off. But David, I don't see anywhere where I can give you permission, but maybe you can type your question in. Or if anybody else has any questions for Katie. So I'm a little flustered with this about this warning. Well, Christy's new, and Christy, I'm actually just working to get the invoice from Kanye to get yours done. I believe this is Christy Valerie, right?
Yeah, hey
Okay.
BJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my camera
No
off
worries.
because I have the sticker. Once I remove it, that's it.
No, I
Anyway,
get it.
can't get it to restick. Yeah, and he's been in and out of the hospital. So he just got out last night.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit told him,
Well,
and
we'll
it's
talk
some
about it
pretty
offline.
tough stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
figure it
thank
out.
you.
All right.
Can we set up a time, or I think I
Yeah.
messaged you about it.
Okay. I will get to it. And I'll get to you this afternoon, and I'll talk to him too.
Okay, well, I'm supposed to be going for a massage this afternoon, so
All
I
right,
really
we
need
can
it
talk
because I have a
tomorrow then.
migraine.
I'll send you a message and give you some times for tomorrow. Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so David's question was, I need to introduce my 14-month-old 96 very friendly lab to a new puppy my daughter is visiting for a week over Christmas. And I think he's just looking for like ways to introduce that without causing a melee. And I know he's right in the middle of training himself, so I don't think he wants to mess up his training. Any tips for him?
So, I mean, a 14-month-old puppy and a new puppy, they're just going to want to play. So if you have an area that's appropriate for them to play, you can just let them play it out. Now, if they're on leash, I'd be careful with letting them play on leash, just because then you develop bad habits that way.